Later in the program, there will be an inspiration panel featuring representatives from organizations such as Lead Way Assurance, the British Council, the Industrial Training Fund, and the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Discussions are expected to focus on workplace diversity, employability skills, entrepreneurship, and how young Nigerians can position themselves for opportunities in today's evolving job market. Stay tuned.
Things that I've learned that helped me be where I am at this point in time. I wasn't born a director of a company. I am not one of those, very fortunate, rich families. No, I'm not. So I am also similar as all of us, most of us here. I also came from a middle-class family in the Philippines. Both my parents were government workers, right? So I didn't start working and I wasn't a manager immediately, right? So I think the first learning that I wanted to share with everyone is you need to have an end in mind. Okay? When you're starting to work, you need to know where you want to bring yourself, right? But you need to be realistic with your vision. So when I started working, okay, the first thing that I said before I hit 30 years old, and I will not tell you how old I am now, but before I told myself, before I hit 30, I want to be a manager. Guess, I started working, I was 22 years old, okay? Or 21, 22, okay? And then at 27, I became a manager, okay? Thank you very much. When I was a manager already, of course, what's the next level that I want, right? So I told myself, before I hit 40, I want to be a director in a company. So thank you very much for the companies that I've worked with. At 36, I was already a director. And then at 38, at 38, I was a global director already, right? Okay. And then, of course, when you're a director, then what's next? Does that stop there, right? So then I said, I want to be a board member. I want to be part of the board who steers the company, my voice can be heard, etc. So I think, before I hit 50, I said, okay? I will not tell you my age now, but I've been a direct board already. Okay? So I think that's a big one. You need to be realistic with your ambitions. Right? You can have ambitions, but be realistic. And everything that you do, you are aiming for that. Okay? So, have an end in mind, be realistic with that. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. Ken, who's gonna do the thing? Okay. So now my slides are here. Okay. Then the second one that you need to do, no? You need to know what your, this is my introduction supposedly. So, okay, so these were the numbers that I said, I was thinking I will share this with you, no? I'm not gonna talk about it, but I just want you to read them, right? I think because it's very important also for those talents, Imagine, 62.5% of Nigerians earn less than 200,000. Okay? Just to have some, reality check. I think that's what the DG also said earlier, right? And also, if you look at where the industries are, right? ICT, telco, NGO, education, teaching, banking, healthcare, medical are the top 5 hiring companies. Okay? And then sales, finance, and engineering had the most vacancies for the past 2 years. Okay? So just have a bit of reality check. At least you get to understand what those are, right? The next slide is, I wanted to talk about, okay, what are those trends, etc., right? I'm not gonna talk about them because, again, you can Google this. But I think we mentioned some of them already, right? artificial intelligence, digital technology is very, very important. So, we are, you know what? Nigeria is very fortunate. Imagine Neca is providing the AI program for free. Correct? So imagine, make the most out of that opportunity. Okay? AI is one, because that's the future. Okay? I think the DG also mentioned, right? Your banking technology skills also, to be honest with you, I don't know if you know this, but you are best in class. How do I know that? The central bank in the Philippines, the deputy general is a friend of mine, and he said, he was messaging me. I said, why are you still awake? And then he said, I'm still having my webinar with the subject matter experts from Nigeria. Central Bank of the Philippines. And they are learning from the Nigerian banks here in terms of banking, finance, your e-banking, etc. Okay? So, digital, technology, financial, that's for the future, right? Skills is important. Yes, I know that you guys are very, or Africans, no, or Nigerians, you're very particular. You have an MBA, a doctorate, etc., right? So, just to share with you, when I was coming over, they told me, Len, do you have certifications? Yeah, I have some chartered, whatever. So, I just had to get them at that point in time because it was pandemic. So, I wanted to have some time. Oh, here, it's very important. So, in my LinkedIn, I had to put them there. So, I'm a chartered fellow from Europe, UK, etc. But the future is about skills. Okay? Skills. And skills are learnable and teachable. Find what you're good at. Right? So that's very, very important also. Digital, AI, skills. But the third one, which I will talk about later, so can you move to the next slide already? Okay? Is about mindset. And mindset is how you look at yourself and grow yourself. And that was where I was trying to share my story of how I grew and what are the learnings that I wanted to share with you regarding this. The first one I mentioned, know your ambition, right? But be very realistic with your ambitions, okay? The second one, focus on your strengths. What are you good at? Okay? I think Nigerians, culturally, similar to Filipinos, okay? We always look at what I'm not good. What's the gap? What am I not good at? What's my weakness? What's my opportunity area? We always focus on the negative, right? My recommendation, pivot your mindset and focus on what your strengths at. What are you very good at? I'm very good at computer skills. What computer skills specifically? Or I'm very good at research. Okay? Or I'm very good at cooking. I'm very good at, what else? Problem solving. I think that was mentioned earlier. Know what your strengths are. How do you get to know what your strengths are? Talk to your friends. Ask them, what do you think I'm strong at? What do you think I'm good at? Right? And then internalize that for yourself. And strengthen your strengths. Okay. You know the best athletes in the world, right? You know Tiger Woods, the golfer, okay? You know who are the best athletes, you can say. Kobe Bryant, but sorry, I'm so old school, no? What, give me a good... Messi, Ronaldo, okay. Do you know how they became really good at what they're doing? They focus on their strengths. Right? Ronaldo knows that he's very good on his long game. Right? On the long shots. So, he made sure. So, anywhere, even outside the box, when he kicks that ball, it's a sure go-in. Right? There was one player, he's very good at headers. Right? So he really played, strengthen that. So focus on your strengths. Know your strengths, develop, and further strengthen that, right? For myself, it's the same, no? I'm very, I would like to pride myself that I'm very good in terms of HR, right? But of course, there are different facets in HR. So I did org development, I did strategic work, no? I did a lot of the strategic stuff. I'm not really good at timekeeping. So I said, okay, that's not something that I will like to do. I'm not very good at, I'm good at strategic talent acquisition or sourcing. So I can hire senior level. But if you're asking me, okay, Lynn, you need to hire, the people in the plant, that may not be my strength. So I will have some people in my team who's very good at that. So focus on your strengths so that you can be very good at it and you can leverage that in the future. The third one is, thrive on a growth mindset. Okay. Do you know what growth mindset is? Anyone? What's a growth mindset? Anyone? I can give you 3 peak milk sachet. Okay. Yes. What's a growth mindset?
I would just like to talk from my point of view. A growth mindset, from what I think, is a mindset one has that I can learn more, I can upgrade myself, I can always do better.
Exactly. So, I like it when our gracious host was always saying, can we do more? Can we do better? Right? That's what a growth mindset. My friend, can you give her 3 peak sachet milk? Fantastic. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Abuka. Abuka is my head of talent acquisition. So make sure you look for him later. Okay. So growth mindset is exactly that. We need to have the mindset that I can do. That we can. Right? So again, strengths, and I can do this. I can learn more. But part of growth mindset is humility. Be humble enough that I don't know what I don't know, right? So for example, to me, I am not really very good at Excel. So I always tell I have my payroll friend, specialist there, I will not check your Excel because I will assume you know what that is, right? How to do your work, right? So part of growth mindset is the humility that you may not know or you may not have that strength for that. That's fine. And then focus on your strengths. But it's always a can-do attitude. Or if you may not be able to do it, right? What are the ways that you can supplement that or do it another way? So you can still do it, but it may not be exactly a step A to step B, but it can be an A to A.1 to B. Right? So growth mindset is all up to you. Focusing on strengths is all up to you. Okay? Part also of growth mindset is having the humility to ask people for help. You cannot do everything all at the same time. I always tell that to my team. That's the reason I have a team. We all have our teams. Because we cannot do everything all at the same time. You need people and you need to surround yourself with people who can help you achieve what you want. That's part of growth mindset. Okay. And the last one that is really to me fundamental and very, very important is know and live your purpose. Okay. I was 18 years old and I already knew what my purpose in life is. My purpose in life is to help people help themselves. So in everything that I do, personal and professional, it's all about helping people help themselves. And maybe that's the reason why I'm in HR. Right? Maybe also just to share, no? I'm living a very, very comfortable life in Malaysia already. right? And then when I was asked, Lynn, can you move to Nigeria, right? And can you head the Nigeria and Rosa HR business? I said, okay, of course, there's a lot of things going in my mind, right? And then I said, okay, can you give me a week? I will just talk to my family, etc. No? And then I was talking to my boyfriend. We were in the car, and talking to my children. We were in the car. And then we were talking about it, and then he said, okay, Ma, instead of asking us what do we think about it, comes back to me, why do you want to go? What is it that's making you entertain that thought? Okay. And I wanted to openly share this because I think it's very important. My purpose in life is to help people help themselves. One of the main reason I moved from the company that I was with before to Friesland Campina, and I was already a global HR head, no, at that company. And then I was moving to Friesland Campina. I was doing country, region, cluster. Is because I love and I resonate strongly with the purpose of Friesland Campina, nourishing people and planet. And it is relatable to my own personal value. So why am I moving to Nigeria? Why am I taking on this role? It's because imagine waking up every day and what you're doing is you are feeding 1.55 billion sub-Saharan Africans every day. Right? Where can you get that job? Right? So when you are looking or when you are in your journey of this, no, look at it not as a job. Look at it anchoring on what your life is all about. And later I'll talk to you a few bit more, no, about that. Because purpose is very, very important. Purpose is important for individuals. Purpose is important for organizations, for businesses. So you need to know what your purpose in life is, right? So I'd like to share a short video. Can you go to the next slide for the video? Go back. Can you play? So Simon Sinek is one of those, no, and look at him in Google, no, and YouTube and all of that. Simon Sinek is one of those well-known leadership gurus, no, and he has a lot of videos and all of that. And it's really this video talks about why do we need to know the why in our life? Why do we need to know purpose, right? So can you please play the video? Okay, sorry, again, tech. But I will give you the name. And when if the slides will be shared, I think they will be shared with participants because I think they got your contacts and emails. So you will have the link to that, okay? He talks about the why, no? And why do we need to make sure that you know what your purpose is? Because that's very important, okay? So, for another pick milk pack, okay? What are the 4 things that we talked about that I said you need to do and you need to be very good at? Yes, sir. Know your ambition. Focus on your strengths. Thank you very much. Sorry, can you give one more pick pack? Thank you. Okay. So those are a few things. So I hope that will help you, right? And maybe just to also further strengthen that, okay? So can you go to the next slide? Okay. I'm an avid reader. I think it was mentioned earlier, no? Learning, it doesn't stop. And my opportunity for learning is that I love reading, okay? And there are 3 books that I wanted to share that maybe, no, if you can download, I'm sure you can download it in Google, no, and PDF, etc. There is one book, it's called Leadership School, no, by John Maxwell. John Maxwell is also one of those leadership gurus, no? In the book Leadership Gold, he talks about leadership, right? So I know in the future, all of you will eventually be leaders in the respective organizations that you are in. But even now, you are also leaders. You are leaders with your set of friends, with your family, with your siblings, right? So I just want to highlight 3 things there. Okay. If it's lonely at the top, you are not doing something right. Okay. So you all see these CEOs, no? And all of these leaders, directors, the DG, right? If they are lonely at the top, it means that they've done something wrong. Why? Because leaders need to bring people up together with them. Okay? So, remember, it will be lonely at the top if it's all up to you. If you're selfish, if you just want, it's you, you're the star and everything, the point will come that you will be very lonely. And that's not a good life to live. So you need to make sure you bring your team with you. I'm very fortunate. My team, they're very supportive. If you get to see the guys who are in this jersey jacket and it says there, what's at your back, my friend? Our people, our strength, they are my team from Friesland Campina. Okay? Second, building trust and credibility is very important. You may start as a specialist, as a staff, as a factory worker. You will eventually grow, but you need to make sure that you need to continuously build trust and make sure you have a strong credibility. Okay? Integrity is doing everything right, even without people knowing and looking at you. Always make sure that your credibility is intact, because at the end of the day, that will bite you in the, Okay? Trust and credibility is easy to earn, but once it's gone forever. So make sure you don't do anything that will break trust and credibility. And it's not just in your work, but how you live your life as well.
When we see people, we don't know their stories, but when we hear their story, we appreciate them. And it also sort of gives inspiration and hope that regardless, there is opportunity for you too. So the sky is big enough to take everyone. So very quickly, let's go into the panel session. I would like to start by getting an intro from each of our panel members here in terms of the future of work, in terms of empowering talent, building skills. Lynn spoke so much about skills in today's world of work. Also in terms of inclusive growth, what would be your charge as we start this conversation to get our participants excited to learn from you? Just an opening remark from each one of our panel members. Even though they said we have more men on the panel, but we'll start with ladies. Ladies first. So over to you, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, moderator. All protocols duly observed. And like she started, and from the keynotes, I think she said quite a lot of things concerning the world of work. In today's ever-changing world of work, it is very important for us to be skillfully and digitally enabled ourselves in those areas. Like, it's rapidly changing, that's the truth. And if you don't change with the change, of course, you'll definitely be left out. So I want to charge every youth in this hall that whatever you need to do in this present day of work, Don't ever stop researching, relearning, unlearn, and most importantly, be creative to adapt to the ever-changing world of work. Thank you.
Yeah, good day, everyone. Good morning. It's nice sitting here looking across at my fellow Gen Z faces and crowd. I'm getting a little tense, but I think if you all clapped for me a little more, I'll be more comfortable. Yeah, thank you very much. Just to tune up the protocol, my organization is NDIP, Entrepreneurial Development Initiative. That's our banner there. I think I was called British Council. I was just invited based on a project on inclusivity that we delivered, my NGO, for the British Council. So in the question of today's event, I've been with my NGO, the organization I work for less than a year, and it's been a process of learning. When I had to reach out to Neca for collaborations and all, I didn't feel I could do this. I mean, the moment I sent out a collaboration request for an Inclusive by Design project, I quickly shut my laptop and was like, oh, Neca, that's an organization very big. How would they reach out? What would they respond? But then they did. And I think Mrs. Isabella Hussein here and some other team from her colleagues, they've been really helpful in carrying out that project on Inclusive by Design, which is basically about people with disability, making sure that they are included in private sector workplaces hiring. Thank you very much, and I'm glad that that laid the platform for me to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I will just first of all say that I do identify with the Gen Zs. I'm in the training space, and most of the time I call myself an escape Gen Z. But when you look at the future of work, as Lara has said, basically what you need is the skills. Now, if you look at the word skills, if we take away S from skills, what do you have? From skill, when you remove S from it, what do you have remaining? Kill. Now, a lot of business, a lot of talents, a lot of people have died, have been killed because of the lack of skills. When you look at most of entrepreneurs, people learning when we were growing up, people learning to be tailors and all that, a lot of people just rush into it without having the proper skills. And you see that they've killed so many talents, so many business ideas. If you remove K from kill, what do you have? Ill. A lot of people are becoming ill. The nation is ill today because of the lack of proper skills being, engaged with. Now, so the future of work, the future of business is actually skills. You must, it's the next oil. It's not the crude oil and all that. In fact, without, it's only person, let me go a bit to our lingua. Now, the person who gets skills, they get a lot. If you don't have skills, there's no way you can actually grow them. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone, once again. And thank you so much, Lynn. That was very impactful, even to me personally. I appreciate it. On behalf of the Executive Secretary of the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, I bring good tidings, and even on behalf of the entire Lagos State government. Pleased to have you around, Madam Minister. And of course, it's a very big honor to be part of this very wonderful panelist. For me, right, people keep saying, the future world of work, or the future labor market. But the truth of the matter is that when you look at it, right, there is actually no future anywhere. The future actually starts from today. A lot of people tend to procrastinate and feel like the future is going to happen in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. But the truth of the matter is the moment you close your eyes at night to sleep and then you wake up in the morning, that is your future. because you have the opportunity to be transformative. You have the opportunity to do something different. For me, with that context being built already, I think the today part of work actually starts from having that beyond, acquiring skill sets, beyond having training opportunities. It starts with having that global competitiveness, having that mindset of global competitiveness. Gone are the days where what you can do is only just going to be relevant within the very sphere of where you are, right? Today, whatever skill set you acquire, have the mindset that it's not something that is just going to be competitive within your local shores alone. One of the advantages that we tend to have with the experience of COVID-19 that time was the fact that a lot of people now had the understanding that you can be within the confines of your room and then you can work for different countries elsewhere. Am I correct? It opened our mindset to the fact that work are no longer going to be orthodox. And that is why you have a lot of talent in the country right now, that the currency of Nigeria is domiciled in Naira, but they get paid in dollars. That's because they have that mindset that the skill they have acquired is not just going to be traditionally accepted. It has to be something that is globally competitive. And I think it starts with having that kind of mindset orientation that you need to also be globally competitive and not be local champions. Thank you.
Everyone, standing on existing protocols, I give honor to whom honor is due. The future of work. My charge to you would be that, first, let me say thank you, Lynn. You deep dive into, I'm also a student of Carol Derwick. Yeah, so, and let me add another one for the team. Guys, follow Brené Brown. You'll get a lot. My thoughts around the future of work is this. Our world is so global that you don't need to say, I want to be global. You are already global by this piece of device. And guess what? Anything that happens somewhere else can have massive ripple effect here. For the first time, a lot of people became aware of Strait of Hormuz, right? But you never worried until petrol became 1,300 and something. That tells you something. The world of work will always evolve. The times my own parents went to work started 7, it ended by 4 p.m., 5 p.m. And that was it. Today, there actually is no end. If you call me today, there's a device on that seat. It is likely to ring. There are 2 other devices in the car. It will ring. There's just no hiding place, but that's the same thing. But who is that person that will trump it? It is that person that is constantly evaluating. It is that person that is constantly introspecting. It is that person that chooses to self-develop. You are not waiting for an organization or someone to develop you. And as you evaluate, you start to ask yourself, what are unique capabilities that would make me to stand out amongst the crowd, amongst peers? And by that reason, you reshape your world as you reskill. Thank you.
Put your hands together for global opportunity that is available. So you can be here in Nigeria and you can earn what? You can earn in dollars. So having said that, I would like to hear from Mrs. Abechi right now in terms of MRC. What are the opportunities that is available? So in line with the theme of this event, how can Nigerian job seekers effectively utilize the MRC Center to access credible overseas employment opportunities? And what does the journey from registration to placement look like? Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Ms. Moderator, once again. Federal Ministry of Labor that deals with issues of migration, reintegrations of returnees, and a whole lot of trainings that we give. So in order to utilize the MRC to assess credible overseas job, we have a lot of programs that we run through there. The first one is our PDOS, that's the pre-departure orientation seminars. From time to time, we organize these seminars to intending migrants, people who want to migrate abroad, either for jobs. The Migrant Resource Center is like an interface, actually, that gets agencies who regulate employment. We regulate them, actually. We are the one who license them. So in so doing, we have a way of knowing the exact credibility of whoever is in the recruiting space, especially for those recruiting either home or abroad. So in doing that, we do a background checks, actually, within all these employment agencies. And that acts as a way of filtering the wrong agencies from the right one. In doing that, we enable anybody who wants to go abroad for either work purposes to deal directly with those licensed recruiting agencies, of course, which we verify, because it is only the Federal Ministry of Labor that has the mandate to issue a recruiter's license to any organization who wish to do that. And I earlier mentioned about the PDOS thing. That's the pre-departure orientation training. So that before you go abroad or think of working outside the seashores, we tell you exactly what is expected in the other country, so that you don't just migrate blindly, or you migrate with a mismatch of skills. You know, a lot of us here, most times if you ask some maybe intending migrants or people who want to get jobs abroad, they really don't even know what is obtainable in the country of destination. So by organizing our PDOS, we tell them exactly what it is, because we have first-class hand information because of our referral mechanisms that we have. We deal in collaboration with a lot of NGOs, and one of our biggest partners to the GIZ, they've really tried in that area for us as well. So we deal in all those things, and then we make people migrate without issues. So the first thing I always like to tell the graduates, that if you're really looking for such avenues, the first thing you need to do, please try and visit any of the migrant resource centers, where they'll give you all the information that you need to know. It's a whole lot of information, actually. If I start calling them one by one, I don't think we'll leave here. But for the benefit of time, of course, we have our social media handles, presence in the social media space. It's already on the screen. You can join us there. We are present on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, and a whole lot. And this is our active line as well. So you can always visit us. Our centers are spread across the country. We have one in Abuja, one in Benin, and one in Lagos. And some other ones are coming up very soon as well. So in all this, we try to sanitize people through our advocacies as well. We do advocacies in school, universities, churches, mosques. In fact, anywhere we see youths gathered like this, we try as much as possible to enable them understand what it means to travel right. And that leads us to one of our slogans that we always tell people, that if you really want to migrate, then do it right, because migration is actually your right, it is my right. So we always tell them, when you want to migrate, do it the right way. Don't go through the irregular routes. Of course, we are all conversant with what is called the Jackpa syndrome. Yeah. So we understand that. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much. You use the word migrate, but I think we connect more with Jackpa. What are some of the common gaps or biases you observe in current recruitment process that limits inclusivity? And given your experience with the Entrepreneurial Development Initiative, what have you observed, what have you experienced, and what are these gaps, and how can these gaps be addressed?
Okay, thank you very much. Regarding my organization, NDIP, we recently carried out a project, delivered a project for the British Council, Inclusive by Design project, of which Neca contributed immensely in terms of collaboration And I got on board last year, September. We've had a policy dialogue event, knowledge sharing sessions, and even a peer learning visit whereby we went to Sterling Bank. Sterling Bank remains one of the leading private sector companies that model very well in inclusive workplace practices, by the way. And one thing that I recognize are the gaps in the process of hiring that continues to promote exclusivity, as in for people with disabilities, for the biases in hiring. These questions we ask, whereby you say, what's your gender, what's your age, do you have a disability? I think those things unconsciously promote the biases that that does not encourage diversity and inclusivity in private sector workplaces. So I remember when I onboarded the project and we were reaching out to people to collaborate with, I went to KFC Surulere, and I noticed the way their inclusive practice there was also top notch. They had this waiter at the entrance she had a verbal disability, but then she was motioning. There was this signs and symbol kept one place at the entrance of the restaurant. And she motioned me to the counter. I hadn't intended to purchase anything, but she engaged me, and I was moved. It made me change my entire mindset. There was a mindset shift on how I looked at the entire project when I got on it. I saw the impact, because I almost fell in love, to be honest. The way she spoke, she made me to buy. And then I began to imagine how many more talents such as that were not allowed, that couldn't make it because of the unconscious biases in our hiring processes. Even when we come down to the physical, the workplace, the facility, the landmarks that promote inclusivity, such as ramps, signages, even in the restrooms and all of that. So we began, the work we did in the Inclusive by Design project was more engaging, creating more sensitization for organizations to include it. We even went as far as drafting an inclusive workplace charter. And I know when we reached out to Neca, Neca also have something on that, an assessment scheme that encourages people with disabilities to ensure that they feature in the hiring processes, even also for upscaling in their careers. In my organization, we have a person who has a visual disability, but she continues to promote in her career. Currently, she is a doctorate degree holder. So we got this mindset in the process of the project that inclusivity is important, and that when we empower people who are also not have a disability, we empower all of us. We empower each and every one of us. And it's important for us to also know that each of us here is just an accident away from being a disabled person as well, if we look at it in the grand scheme of rising their CVs and also on skills that and sharpen their employability skills in the labor market. Thank you.
Wow, a lot to unpack. Please, can we give me a round of applause? In summary, there is ability in disability, and thanks for sharing that powerful story.
Now, because I left that behind, because of that mindset of skills and things you like tailoring, like carpenter. Recently also, I met someone, an architect, Emeka, in Abuja, when I was in Abuja. Trained as an architect, but when you see him, he doesn't want to be called an architect. He wants to be called a carpenter. And he's building furniture and all that. So when you look at what ITF is doing when it comes to SUPA, that Skill Up Artisans program that is currently running, is to look at the artisanal work, to look at some of these things that people are looked at upon for several years, and see how we can make it much more interesting, get people to be engaged in it. And you have stories, you have a lot of success stories. Look at Rough and Tumble. Look at all those who are into tailoring and fashion designing and all that. They were people who had gone to universities, who had done different things. They eventually learned to do something with their hands. Yoruba will say this, Ateleweni ki tonije. Many of us, to be honest, not all of us will get white-collar jobs. A lot of you want to sit down here and then whether it's blue-collar job also, you want to probably work in a company and all that. But there are a lot of us who are skilled. Permit me to go a bit into the scriptures. God told Moses, when he got to the Red Sea, there was a challenge. He said, what's in your hand? He said, a staff. He said, use it. So what is that thing that you're passionate? Lee said something. Know your strength. Know the things that you are passionate about. Is it photography? I can tell you stories. I know a lady that I met while she finished from Federal University of Technology, Akure, Futa. Had a first class in food technology. She has jackpot. She's in the UK today. Is WSD Media. She's into photography. So I am saying that, look, super program is about that. So we'll get people to are interested in learning skills. We train them. They get certified. And then their exit for them. What are the exits? One, you can get, if you want to get employed, Neca is providing that because we have a partnership with Neca that is called the TSDP. They graduate from the universities and all that. I engage with different skills. They are brushed up, graduate skill support program, and then they can be placed. That is one side. So you can exit through that when you have gone that super program, you've learned a skill. And then you can be on your own, and then we are doing that and we're encouraging business incubation. Currently, we've trained a lot of people. There's a business incubation that is going to go on now for people who are already passed through our program. For tailoring, for instance, I'll give you an example of that tailoring. There's 5 million set aside to build businesses in that skill, and then so that they will have their own business. And then the last part of it, the third exit, is what we call the national talent export. My colleague from the ministry has said something. If you want to jackpot rightly. Now, so get to learn. So ITF is collaborating with nations, countries that are willing to employ Nigerian skilled hands. And so when you are going out rightly. You are employed rightly. The conditions are set rightly. We are collaborating with a lot of people, with Ministry of Labor and all that, so that you can get these things done properly. So that opportunities are there. And then also, if you go to Ogba, that's after Friesland Campina, on the other side, there's a site there that is going on. We've not yet opened it, but that place is where you have laser center for welders. Now, if you get to that place, we just had the land, the machine were employed. That's the one you will see. I don't think there's any other one replicated in the country. The machine built all that place itself. And we are collaborating, looking for youths who will learn how to weld. Now, the difference is this. When you have gone to school, you do things better. You are smarter. I've seen a lawyer that went through this scheme, learned to do POP, POP and then tiling. He resigned because he can engage with people. Now, if I've gone to school, I've networked, I know Lara, for instance, and Lara is building, and Lara knows I'm doing tiling. You know, she will want to engage with me better than someone else that, just on the street, because she knows that I can speak to her and meet at the point where she'll be able to do that. So yeah, there are a lot of leverages that you have. And Emeka told me, I'll be retiring by October. I'll be 60 by October. And I'll be retiring. And then I told Emeka, I said, Emeka, see, I want to get something doing. He said, okay, what I will ask you to do is I'll get equipment for you. You are going to go through the skill, you are going to learn, and then you can supervise. And something is this, you have people that probably you worked with, ministries, ministers, and other people, and then you know that you attract more people that will engage with you. And that is the way to go. So for every one of us, I'll just wrap up by this. For everyone else that's in the room, get engaged with ITF. The super site is there. Learn a skill. See, it is not that, don't just rush. I'll still go back to our keynote speaker. Know your strength. Don't say because everybody is a tailor, you want to rush there. Because Style House has done it. This person is a carpenter. No, know your strength. And then learn that skills. Depend on this. I tell you when I will say your hand is where you can build your skills. None of us, not all of us, will go to become directors, ministers, HR people and all that. Please, and then, like I said, get to the super website, find out what ITF is doing, and then you are good to go. I think I will just stop here because of our time. Thank you.
Fantastic. Please, can we put our hands together for him? Thank you. And congratulations ahead on your retirement and birthday. Thank you. So very quickly, we'll just go to Mr. Fadikwe from LSETF. So very quickly, LSETF has been very instrumental in supporting employment and enterprise development. Can you please share that your organization does and how people can benefit from it?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Maybe before I go to answering the specific of that particular question, right, it's also important to set the context that skills to employment is not just a phrase, right? It's not to say that people should just acquire a skill. It's not to say that people should just get trained for training purposes, right? Or for the sake of having somewhere to go because they want to leave their houses. It's to say that that avenue whereby you take people from a state of hopelessness to being hopeful. Because when people do not have anything they are doing right, there is that sense of hopelessness that's setting. So what we try to do to bridge that gap from Lagos State Employment Trust Fund is to facilitate and organize different training programs. And how we go about this is that we partner with some international organizations who also share similar mandates of employment creation and economic empowerment, like we share. We partner with organizations like UNDP, USADF, GIZ, King's Trust International in the United Kingdom, and so on and so forth. Some of the things that we put in place to make sure that we don't just train, but we train people right towards making sure that they now have something they can call their own skill set, is that we carry out different demand-driven initiatives whereby we organize focus group discussions with private employers who at the end of the day are those that are going to demand for the labor that you have from the side of the labor supply. And we also tried as much as possible to make sure that when we carry out these skill or capacity development programs, there are things that are relevant towards what people actually need. And we make sure that we do not just carry out the training programs alone. There are things that we pipeline them towards employer avenue, employer platforms. And all of these are made possible through what we call our labor market information gathering, whereby we can tell on real time what are the things that employers are looking for. And then it makes it easier for us to facilitate training programs in those aspects as well. As I speak with you right now, since we started our employability training program in 2018, we've trained more than 23,000 youths in Lagos State, across several sectors like hospitality, construction, creative, technology, as it were. And why we also do this is to make sure that we do not just train people for the purpose of training alone. We try to meet them at the point of their own preferences and at the point of their own interest, at the point of their strength. But something that is also very important for me to put out, which we also try to factor in, is something that is popularly called experience paradox. What does experience paradox mean? I'm sure a number of people in the room would have experienced it before, whereby you hear employers saying that at the age of 22, you must apply for this role with 8-year experience, right? You see employers saying that I'm a fresh graduate, somebody that is NYC, core member, right? And we need you to have 7 years experience, right? And then you begin to wonder that you're not just going to get the experience from heaven. It's not just going to fall like manna, right? And then on the part of the prospective employee who doesn't even have that kind of experience. So we factor it into our training program to take care of that experience paradox by saying that the program design is put in such a way that by the time you finish your training program, we encourage you to go for an internship with private employers. You understand? And then when you have that workplace experience, when you have that employment opportunity, or also one way or the other improves your experience skill set. What we also try to encourage people to do based on our research, which we have seen that is also a gap that can be filled, is to say that when you see volunteering opportunities, also be readily available to go for volunteering opportunities because they also give you that avenue to also learn one way or the other. So whether it is by hook or crook, at least you are gathering the experience one way or the other. So by the time you are better prepared, it gives you that avenue to confidently beat your chest to say that, yes, you can do it. So we try to do that. And then we also, do a lot of public-private partnerships, whereby we engage with private employers who also get to know what they need, how they can also support what we do. As a closing from my side, what I'm just going to say, right, for people to also be aware of, especially people that we now popularly refer to as talents, right, they're not job seekers, is to say that, in all, please do not close your mouth. Do not close your mouth to the degree that when you have a particular problem you're going through, when you even acquire that skill set, talk to people that you can do things. What research also tells us is the fact that what makes people not to get employment is not because they are not employable, but because they close their mouth. Closing their mouth does not necessarily also get to be limited to talking to people alone. It also extends to you looking for opportunities. And I would say that we have lots of digital and technological devices right now, but the youth of nowadays, which are also fall within the demographic, right, we do not make use of those digital devices for productive things. I'm saying it because it's actually the truth, right? You have, especially when you have lots and lots of social media platforms that take people's time, right? You know, no offense meant, but I'm not saying people should not do TikTok. I'm not saying you shouldn't do Snapchat. I'm not saying you shouldn't go on X, Instagram. But when you know that you have a particular mindset of where you're going, at that particular point in time, you have to be purposeful to make sure that you leverage on the digital devices you have. You make findings about the lines of your interests, and then you become better persons for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please, can you give me a round of applause? Because of time, our final question to you, ma'am, as a divisional director and chief people officer. You just spoke about experience paradox. How can young people position themselves for gaining transferable skills? So like you said, internship, volunteering job, but how can they even go about getting this opportunity? And once they are in that opportunity, how do they even position themselves? Your thoughts on this, ma'am?
Said to join you in saying a closed mouth, a closed destiny. Okay, so one of the things that I have seen in our environment that doesn't work for us is this. You go to primary school, you go to secondary school, and you go to university, and you just keep going. But guess what? You have holiday periods, 3 weeks. You have long vacation from July till September. And what do? In fact, it's just because the schools add summer schools. If they don't add summer schools, people sit down at home and eat. That's when you find the parents complaining they are in pain because of what is being gallowed down. This doesn't work for us in any way. I remember one of the times that has helped me on my journey. It was those ASU strikes. In those ASU strikes, if I have another friend, she's in Canada today, and I'll tell you very well about transferable skills. What did we do? We started a daycare center. For you, someone is laughing, for you to start a daycare center as a university student, those babies will test your patience. You will build resilience. You will pack poo-poo. That means anything your boss says to you while you are grown up, you are used to taking shit. I'm serious. And they cry and cry and cry. This thing that you are talking about, mental health, when babies are crying and crying and crying, your mental health will recalibrate. You have learned the sense of care. The shift of focus is not about you, it's about others. Imagine that transferable skills. Ultimately, you learn communication. How do you talk to a 2-year-old to listen to you? How do you talk to a toddler? How do you comport yourself? Because as you do, they will do. You know, my head, my shoulders, my knees, my toes. What happens? The last one that happened that time is you learn humility to even be able to learn and unlearn, working with children. Now imagine I have to put that on my resume as skill sets. Just think about it. Every holiday, assuming we have a system that enables you. Growing up, I used to hear, we used to do Boba job. Boba job meant that we'll go from one parent's house to the other, and we will ask them to please, can we clean your car? Can we wash your car? So what were we learning? We were learning selling skills, because we were learning to sell ourselves as being capable. Yeah, we were learning relational skills as well. Today, what do you have? You know, he said Snapchat. He said at TikTok. I've been in a room with guys, yeah, and interestingly, Gen Alpha are coming into the workforce. I have them. They would all sit down. Lara, you know what I'm talking about. They will all sit down. They are not necessarily talking to one another. And then all of a sudden, you just hear them. They are chatting. They have different, you know, they don't even use their names. You see IJ. They use icon as names. All of those things has changed. But are they really learning to have human relations? Can they walk into a room and talk conveniently? Or how do you learn those things? It shouldn't be happening the first time you get into a formal office environment. What happened to interning? What happened to volunteering? This is what we don't focus on. Because if I pick your resume today, your volunteer experience, you don't even need to write I volunteered. Just put the experience. Because in the end, what is the employer paying for? Experience. It's not about whether you were paid for that job at the time or not. And then what you think is mundane, it is what accumulates to make you the person you will become. Because you learn each and every one of those skills. And you will be shocked. Look at the example I just gave you. Doing a nursery daycare. And then I can put on my resume, excellent communicator. And they say, please give us an example where you had to do that. I can provide it. Because it's about the experience. So I want to encourage you. The thing about transferable skills is this. There is nothing you are doing now that is wasted. It all accumulates. I went from being a daycare teacher to being a proper lesson teacher. And I did catering. When I was doing my NYC days, I used to cook. I used to cook a lot. And then I used to make hair. And then by the time I married, I was the one making the hair for my children, you know. So, but when I talk about all of those things, I bring it back to say I am a polymath. Put me in an environment and I am adaptable. So I just want to say to you, please, every opportunity, every time you have, look into it, evaluate it and say, what am I doing now? What can I do with it? And in the future, how that will accumulate into what you do. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your wealth of experience and also sharing your stories. Because from your stories, a lot of life principles have been learned there. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Please remain seated. Can we appreciate them, please?